Hey everybody, what's going on? It's your boy Average Fisherman, and today the video we got coming at you, I'm out here in the boat. I dug some lures out, and we're gonna be covering, if I was fishing the Big Bass Splash, what I would be throwing right now. So without further ado, let's dive into today's video. Hey everybody, all right. So today we're gonna dive into what I would be throwing at the Big Bass Splash if I was gonna go on Rayburn. A couple things I want everybody to understand. First thing, the lake's coming up really quick. It's come up a couple inches in the last couple days, so the lake's coming up quick. And the reason I tell you that is typically when the water comes up fast, a lot of your fish go shallow, right? Now, take this in consideration. One, the bass are all coming off the spawn, okay, for the most part. This has been a really weird year on Rayburn. There are still fish spawning. There are fish that have been done for a while, and there's fish that's going back out. So, with that being said, the fish are roughly shallow, okay? So, first thing I want to tell you all is, let's start off by, if you want to go and you want to catch a fish, let's say just a weigh in. You want to try and get some fish to weigh in, cash a couple checks. Let's start off with that. Okay, right here behind me, I've got a bunch of different frogs. The frog bite's really been picking up, and the big reason for that is the water's coming up. The fish really don't have much of a reason to leave and go deep right now, or to go back offshore too much, because the shad spawn's kicking up here on Rayburn. So there's two types of frogs that I like to throw. And realistically, everybody, the biggest thing you could do is it's just a white or black frog. White or black. Because you guys got to remember that when those fish are down there looking up on the surface, they either see this, okay, or they see like this silver one I've got, okay? I've got one in my box right now, one of my favorite black ones. It's a walking frog, so a rat nose to everybody, okay? And it's a black frog with yellow leopard print on the bottom of it, okay? So an exception to what they see below would be like your popping perches, which I have here behind me. It sets down in the water like this so they can see the colors, okay? So a popping perch, some of your frogs that have, you know, like orange or whatever on the bottom of them, okay? So if you want to go and you want to catch a fish that you can weigh in, you know, these are good, you know, for 3, 4, 5 pounders all the way up to a 10 pounder. Okay. So if I was going to go out and I just wanted to catch a bunch of fish to weigh in to try and catch multiple checks, pick yourself up a frog. There's two types of frogs. You got your poppers, okay, and you got your walkers. That's what you guys got. Okay. Now, what I'm going to tell you, Ed, is here lately, it's either they want this all day long or it's this all day long, okay? I don't know, you know, what the reason is. A lot of times, I think it really depends on the area you're fishing. You know, in like some really heavily pressured areas, I was getting bit a little bit better on the walking frogs versus the popping frogs. But I will tell you that I was catching a little bit better quality fish on a popper, okay? And the reason why is because you got the bluegill up there right now. The bluegill are shallow. You got threadfin that are real shallow right now, and they hear this popping going on. Those bass get curious and they go up there and look. This color right here, this is a killer gill color. It's just a really good color, and you can see how long I leave. You know, this one's actually brand new. So I would probably trim it to about right there. Just at maybe, okay, right there, okay? I leave mine longer. Some guys trim them shorter. Here's why I leave mine longer. Here's a little free tip. When this thing's sitting in the water, I want you all to pay attention. When you stop moving it, these spread out real slow. And a lot of times that triggers a bite, okay? So, frog, okay? Doesn't matter. Match the color to the day. If you got dark conditions, use a dark frog, like a black frog, and then have you a white one tied on too. This tropical color right here, if y'all can kind of see the chew marks right there, At certain times of the year, this thing gets torn up big time. Actually, this one's really torn up. You can see where I've been kind of using it. It's really split on the bottom. So it's about dead. This other one, Killer Gill. This is really good in sunny conditions. This silver bottom on it really mimics a bait fish on top. So, this Killer Gill color. A lot of you either like the pop and perch or you don't. I like the pop and perch, around the bluegill spawn and all that, but I mix these in. This one right here is kind of one of my go-to colors here. I couldn't tell you the color on it, to be honest with you. But this color right here gets a lot of bites, just kind of brown and yellowish looking frog. Like I said, the popping, this is a Killer Gill too. It's just in the popping version. Okay, so frogs. You want to go catch a bunch of fish, have a chance to catch a big giant, but also, have a more than one fish to weigh in. I would say go get your frog, and I want you all to cast it way back up in the bushes. And I'm talking about dirt shallow as far as you can get your frog in there. And what's important for y'all is don't just start working the frog right off the bat. Let it sit for a couple seconds. Jerk, 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 pause. Jerk, 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 pause. It's getting smoked on that longer pause. So, can't say you go out there and you're like, I don't know how to work frogs. I told you all. All right, next one. Crankbaits, one of my favorites. Anybody that watches my videos and stuff, you all know that during the summer, I get to cranking, okay? Colors. Okay, right here, this is a Zuma Z20 Boss. I'm not sponsored by Zuma or Profound Outdoors or any of that. I really like their crankbaits. They're really easy to dive with. They're really easy on you working them. If y'all have ever thrown 10XDs and 8XDs, that will wear you out. That bait dives heavy, it dives fast. They're great. I mean, it's a classic, right? It's the staple in basically crankbaits, unless you go back to the Rapala back in the day, right? And even the Normans, okay? That's another one. But point of this video is, this is an Azuma. This color right here, I can't remember the color of it, but I throw this one in clear water, okay? And this one is a 6XD. And guys, you can't go wrong with the short truce and blue. I mean, all year long, this thing gets eaten. I mean, you can just see, how much this one's been chewed up, So, I mean, it's just been smashed to pieces. And it's won a lot of big-time pros money all year round. I say like the 6XDs and the 5XDs and stuff, because right now your bass going offshore, they're not really offshore. They're in the drains and ditches anywhere from 4 to 15 foot of water. Okay, those fish are still working back out from the spawn. So a lot of your big mamas are out there in like 13, 12 foot of water in some of these ditches and drains and stuff like that on main lakes. Okay, so like the main lake stuff. Out there on the main lake, you could pull up to an area, let's just say Farmers Flats, okay, the farmers area. That's got a lot of drains and ditches, and it's, out there on the main lake, coming out from spawning pockets. That place would be loaded up. So cranking, 6XD, okay, this is equivalent of a 6XD. I like to throw these a lot more because they're a lot easier on me when they're diving. And different sounds too, okay, so hear that? Now listen to this. A lot more of a knocker, okay? So a lot of guys be throwing at 6XDs. I come back to throwing the Azuma behind them. Okay, so let's cover. So if you're going out cranking, I throw my cranks on a 7'10", old 18 suppressor series rod. They've got the ballistic lineup for cranking, which is a composite rod. I throw my 6XDs though on a 7'6" cranking series rod, and I like the composite. Gives me a lot of feedback. So that's what I'm throwing them. I'm throwing my frogs though on an old 18 rod suppressor series 7-foot medium. It allows me to skip it under the bushes further, and that medium will drag any big bass out, I promise. So onwards. Swim jigs. Okay, swim jig is a very versatile bait. You can reel it in, slow rolling it. You can burn it. You can yo-yo it. shoot, I even flip this thing into cover and let it sink and then, you know, rip it up. Swim jigs, extremely important. These are just sand tone, okay? These are a little bit lighter. I've been throwing the lighter weight ones because the water is really not super deep up in the bushes yet. And, you know, the hay grass is really just starting to get into the water where a lot of the shad spawn's kicking into. So, swim jig. I would not doubt if the winning bass didn't come off a swim jig this week or this weekend. So, I really wouldn't doubt it. This one's black and white, just really simple, okay? One of my favorite colors, okay, is a like chartreuse and blue, okay? This one in my hand actually happens to be a Strike King version. I've caught, you can see it's got the eyes knocked out of it. I've caught a lot of big fish on this one specifically. You know, I'm just pairing these up with some type of creature bait on the back that's white. This one just happens to be a rage crawl on this one, but the other one that I've been really catching a lot of fish on that y'all see me catching on in the videos is a purple and white one. It's got a nice purple highlight right here, but it's still same concept, still rigging it with these, you know, big old flappers, okay? And I want you all to target those areas, those lay downs. I want you guys to get this swim jig back up in there a ways, and I want you to just work it. Throw it over the grass, throw it through the hay grass, work it, okay? And it's great because you can cover a lot of water. It's just like the frog. You can cover a lot of water and you got a chance to catch a lot of good fish on it and potentially catch a really big fish. So swim jigs, okay? Got your cranks, got your swim jigs. This one here is a little bit heavier. I like to kind of roll this one through the pads when they're, you know, when there's pads back on Rayburn. And you can see I've got this one with a, you know, like a Zaco on the back of it. Actually, this one happens to be a cross baits version, okay? And I just reel it. This is more of a bluegill pattern, okay? That's another solid choice to go with. The bluegill are shallow, okay? Bass are feeding on bluegill. They're feeding on them threadfin. So any kind of, you know, bluegill pattern, shad pattern works phenomenal. Now, let's dive into, actually let's skip this and let's dive into some baits, all right? If I had to put money down on something that was probably going to win, it would be a Carolina rig. Carolina rig's so versatile. You can throw it in 4 foot, you can throw it in 2 foot, you can throw it in 30 foot, okay? What I typically rig it on is my leader is about 4 foot long, depending on water clarity. And it really depends on how clear the water is. So cleaner the water, longer the leader. Dirtier water, shorter leader, okay? I usually throw a 3/4 ounce tungsten weight, you know, pretty much all year around. But if I know, like this weekend, if I'm going to be targeting those drains in that 4 to 15 foot of water, I will go to a 1/2 ounce tungsten sinker, a little bit lighter weight, a little bit easier to feel the bite. But here's a tip for this weekend. The winds are going to be howling. Stick a 3/4 on there. It'll keep you to the bottom a little better and you'll still feel the bite, okay? I'm throwing my Carolina rig on a 7'6" suppressor series rod, and it's a heavy, and that is my go-to Carolina rig rod. I can count pebbles with this thing. So what to rig on it, okay? These right here, cross baits. You guys can check them out at the Crossbait Company on Facebook. You can also check them out at crossbaitco.com. You guys, you know I've been with Danny Cross and Cross Baits for a little bit now, and their baits are just, you know, comparing it to other things that I've used over the years, I catch a lot of fish on Cross Baits. And I think the big reason why is because it's infused with the kicking bass scent. You can't go wrong with these baits, I'm telling you. They're Sickos, which is a Cinco, okay? It's just the other version, it's a Sicko. That's going to be a very good choice. This specifically here is a Lizard, and this is watermelon candy and red fleck. And guys, a Lizard catches fish all year round. When I was a kid, this was the go-to bait, and it died off, and a lot of people's forgotten about the Lizard, okay? This is a Lizard, okay? The other one that I would throw on a Carolina rig would be a creature bait, all right? This right here is what we call the debug. I would probably throw a crawdaddy on it, which is similar to a rage crawl. I don't have any of the crawdaddies out here currently, but it's just got big flaps on it. This is the D-Bug. These are great for flipping. So you can actually pull these apart down here like so, and you get more action out of them. I would definitely split them, okay? This color right here is a great color for me. It has been lately, and this is just straight watermelon seed, especially in cleaner water. I love that kicking bass in it. I can smell it. So put that on a Carolina rig, okay? Here's another one for you that a lot of people don't do, and I do a lot, and I'm gonna tell you why. First off is number one, this is the Wormzilla. Look, if y'all were, you know, following me at any time, all right, sorry about that. My neighbor pulled up and he was asking what the fish were biting on, actually, and we had a real long talk. So anyways, back to the Carolina rig, okay? I rig this Wormzilla on my Carolina rig, okay? Why? When you throw a crossbaits Wormzilla in the water, it floats. This is nothing new. I've been telling y'all. I've been rigging this thing on a shaky head, and when you're dragging on the bottom, this bait just raises up. If you go to Crossbait's Facebook page, they have a phenomenal picture of this. So I would rig this on a Carolina rig. I would even rig this on a shaky head or a Texas rig, okay? And this is really, it looks intimidating, but it's no bigger than a 10.5-inch worm. It's really no different, okay? Colors. I would throw, this one is watermelon red. The other one that I've got over here that I want to show you all that's a very good color this time of year is the red bug, okay? And one of my favorites that I've been catching a lot of fish on is watermelon candy. Actually, I've got some packs inside that Crossbaits supplied me with that's watermelon candy red. And I haven't had a chance to put those to work yet, but I can promise you that that is going to catch fish all summer, okay? The other thing I'd rig on a Carolina rig is my sickos, okay? You guys know what sinkos are? Same thing. The sickos, they catch fish, okay? They catch big fish. Drag your Carolina rigs anywhere from, like, you know, that 4 to 15 foot of water in those drains and ditches leading out from the spawning pockets. I promise there's big mamas there, okay? Another thing that I would say, you know, you can get you some good fish on is the piles, okay? Your brush piles are probably going to be the best on the first day. There's probably not going to be many brush piles left on the second day of the splash. This right here is a Crossbaits, you know, just a 10.5-inch worm, okay? This one is watermelon candy. This is a very good color to throw. Another very good color to throw is watermelon red. There's another one that Crossbaits has. It's kudzu, I believe they call it. And it's basically the watermelon color, but it's got green fleck in it. I really like that color a lot. Y'all know that bass can see green very well. So, 10.5-inch worms, rig them Texas style. Go to your brush piles. You can even flip this around cover. Okay, if you guys want to go up there and you want to pitch around cover and you want to, you know, basically flip, the water is coming up, and yes, you know, you can get up there and you can do some flipping, but it's not like it's really that deep. A very go-to color for me when I'm flipping just about anywhere on this lake is the Green Pumpkin Magic D-Bug in Crossbaits. This Green Pumpkin Magic color is just, you know, a darker color, and it's got that silver fleck in it. And, you know, you kind of get to hopping it up there, and bass really can't take it. I won a bunch of money during some summer tournaments last year using the Green Pumpkin Magic when the water was high. Man, I just crushed fish on that color. So that'd be one I'd be flipping around cover. You could go and throw your watermelon seed around that cover, and you could even, you know, on your water clarity, it's so important to look at your water clarity. If you've got really dirty water, you all need to be throwing darker baits. If it's really clean, more translucent baits, okay? Now, if you want to catch the bass, the one bass, and you want to catch a monster bass, and you're probably not going to get maybe but a handful of bites on, but if you get a bite on it, it's going to be a big one, and you're going to go weigh it in. Swimbaits, okay? This happens to be a Mag Draft Freestyle. This is rigged with a owner's hook on it. This is the weedless version, okay? I throw this in brush piles and drag it through the brush piles, just the top of it. I throw mine on braid. I know a lot of guys throw theirs on like 20-pound, 25-pound fluorocarbon. I just use braid on mine. That's what I prefer. Okay, this has got a big paddle tail on it. You can really slow this thing down. This is the old Brownie. Another one that I would really recommend, it's actually on my rod in my box, is a Smash Tech. You can get one of the Smash Tech swim baits. It's got a big boot tail on it, and you rig it the same way. Now, if you're going to throw it in open water and you're not going to be around a bunch of cover, I would buy the line through version with a treble hook rigged. Way better hookup rate, okay? You might hook up 60% of the time with this one. The reason being is when they grab it and they hit it, they just got to get this whole thing in their mouth to get this hook. And you really got to set the hook hard and penetrate them. Once you stick them, though, you're going to be all right, I promise. I mean, look at the size of the hook I have on there. I paired this up with a spinner at the bottom of the owner's hook. Just gives it a little extra flash, makes it a little different. You can roll this around even shallow. You know, you go with a lighter weight on it, the belly weight. This one's I got it rigged for deeper. I've got my Smash Tech rigged for deeper water too. But I mean, you could throw this thing up there and, you know, throw it around cover and roll it really slow. That is gonna get a big bite, okay? And I'm getting ready to pull out one other recommendation that I would highly recommend, and you could throw this thing shallow, and if you get bit on it, and I have got bit, I've had 3-pounders eat this thing, but I promise if you get bit, it's the 6 Cents Trace swim bait. Not sponsored by 6 Cents. It's just this swim bait they got is phenomenal, man. They are expensive, I'm not gonna lie to you, but I've been so impressed with this thing since I've had it. The action on it is unrivaled. It's actually a 3-part swim bait body, okay? And usually you just have 2, okay? So when I say 3-part, it's broken here, and then you got your middle part and your third part, okay? And then this tail right here is completely different too. It's really broken in the back there. You slide this tail in and it locks in. And they actually give you a spare tail, okay? The hooks on this thing, man, they are stout, okay? This happens to be, I think this one's called, let me look for y'all. This one is called the Shad Hammer, okay? And I mean, it's just, just look at it. It's phenomenal. And the other one I got up here that I really, really like, okay? Let me dig it out, okay? It's another Trace swim bait, and I've done a lot of damage on this. Like I said, I've caught 2-pounders on it. I've caught 3-pounders on it. And it's a very slow sinking swim bait. So you can really get away with rolling this thing, you know, really slow and just ripping it. It does really, really good when you are simply just reeling this thing. The action is unrivaled. I think this one happens to be, this one's 4K Gizzard. This is one of my favorite colors, okay? This 4K Gizzard color, you can see you got the purple in it, okay? With the shad spawn coming on, this thing's fixing to be on my pole a lot, especially when the gizzard shad start coming up for the shad spawn. So, you want to catch a giant and you want to have a big chance to win it, throw you a big swim bait, a glide bait, okay? That's what these really are, is glide baits. You can throw the glide bait and you can get bit really quick on it, and you have a chance to land a huge one. The other thing that I would say that I would never count out, and I wouldn't, it's because I'm a jig fisherman by heart, and it would be just a good old, you know, football style jig, throwing it in those drains and ditches. Colors, you know, I think it just really, it really depends on the water clarity. You know, anything with purple in it does really good. Black and blue is very good. Everybody knows Gleason's Candy down here is just a phenomenal color jig that they just bite. I mean, especially now, that color jig is really starting to come into play down here. I haven't thrown a lot of jigs yet because the fish are still so shallow, but a jig, you catch a lot of big fish on a jig, and you can do it all year round on a jig. So that's my recommendations for y'all. The only other caveat that I think that I would throw onto it is that we all know how live scope is playing such a role in catching giants this year, specifically, you know, the forward-facing sonar. I wouldn't count out a jerkbait catching a big fish to get weighed in. I know that they're still biting jerkbaits, you know, especially those big mamas that are post-spawn. They're up there, they're out there, you know, suspended, and, you know, over like 15 foot of water, they only might be 10 foot down, and they're recovering and they're getting targeted. Like, these big fish can't hide anymore with, you know, forward-facing sonar. My neighbor was actually over here a minute ago, and we were talking about, you know, how, you know, forward-facing sonar has just caused such a huge catch rate in share lunkers this year, specifically here in Texas. And, you know, these big fish can't hide anymore. So you know, if y'all got forward-facing sonar, get out there and look for these unharassed fish that are suspended, because odds are you might just hook into a real big one. The only other thing that I'd like to throw in, and this is my runner-up right now, is let me get this one. Here, y'all show you this one, okay, is a spinnerbait, okay? This one's a fire crawl color that I was using early in the spring. Black and blue, can't go wrong with it. I've actually, the last video you all see me smashing fish on, you know, the shad spawn going on, that was a shad color pattern. And the spinnerbaits that I use specifically, you guys can use whatever you want, but you know, these baits right here, the Hildenaro, I think I always butcher that. I know I do. This is a disabled veteran-owned company, okay? You can see it right here on the package. It is made in USA, okay? I like using their spinnerbaits, and to be honest with you, a big reason is, like, this is one I haven't pruned down yet. This is a prototype model, if you will say, that I've been testing for these guys. Their wires are super thick, great colors, and a gnarly hook on this thing, okay? So, spinnerbait. I could see someone catching, you know, a fish to get weighed in on a spinnerbait, rolling it around that cover up there. So that's my rundown for the splash. My prediction to win it, I think it's going to take an 11 pounder to win it. I think that you're going to see about 3 to 5 10 pounders weighed in on this one. The reason I'm saying that is because the lake has been fishing very good for big fish this year, and I really think that's going to carry over. You know, but here is the whole thing that's going to sum up the splash. The winds are supposed to really kick up, and they're supposed to be really high. So if you're all out there practicing this week, I strongly encourage you to find areas that you can fish that you're not going to get blown out of, okay? And that is so important when you're practicing for a tournament, or, you know, you're going out there fishing for the day. Look at what the winds are going to do and go and fish areas that are going to be protected, that you can have a chance to catch a giant still, okay? So the wind's going to blow. Y'all be careful out there. The lake is coming up quick, but you still need to be careful. There's still stumps just under the water right now. You know, realistically, areas of the lake I think that are really going to produce is, you know, the mid-lake area has been getting hammered so much this year because the north end didn't have the grass. So I do expect a couple real nice fish to come out of the mid-lake area. I really think that east arm is going to produce some big fish because the fish are still spawning over there. The north end of the lake, it is still doing really well. The frog bite is actually better on the north end versus further down right now. So if y'all gonna throw frogs, you can go on the north end. Grass, everybody wants to know where the grass is at. There's grass in Veach. There's a lot of grass in Caney. There's a lot of grass in Five Fingers, Coleman. You know, all that's got grass, okay? if y'all gonna fish grass, you're gonna get 1 day of good grass fishing, and the rest of it is, I wouldn't even bother with it because so many people's gonna hammer it. So y'all go out there, be safe. I hope everybody catches giants. If y'all catch a giant and I helped you out, tag me so I can see it. I'd love to see it. With that being said, I hope this helps everybody out, and I wish everybody a good luck for the splash. And I hope, well, this is going to change somebody's life this weekend. So y'all be safe out there. And as always, God bless you, and God bless the United States of America. Until next time, everybody, out.
Let me need 1620 right now. Got 1764. That's where it goes. What's those right there?
Have it there, Kennedy.
Again now, right here. I don't know that first